Hey everybody, you might hear some background noise throughout the duration of the video. I have the dishwasher running, I have my sliding glass door open and the windows open, letting air in, you know? And hearing the birds chirp, it's really nice, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it open. Normally I would try to cancel out all of the excess sound, but I don't think you guys would mind. We have an interview with a man named Neal Mohan on the channel Protocol. A link to this interview is in the description. It is sitting at 191 views right now, streamed on April 23rd, so not a lot of people have seen this. And I don't think it's important in the grand scheme of things, but it does give us insight on how independent creators are perceived by YouTube at large. I found this quote from him from this interview on an article from reclaimthenet.org, also included in the description if you'd like to read it for yourself. It says here, Mohan went on to compare authoritative content to content from other creators and suggested that these other creators don't provide the same level of context as mainstream media outlets and medical professionals. I mean, of course, except those doctors who have been getting removed from YouTube for having ideas that are contrary to what the World Health Organization is doing. Remember science? Remember how everyone's supposed to do things because of science? Well, science can't thrive if you stifle opinions from educated individuals. Anyway, here's the quote. As opposed to, it's somebody espousing their opinions about a mask, in their basement. This is coming from an authoritative channel, a news source, a medical professional, and if that's the case, we think there is going to be some context that's provided around the question of masks. And even if that guidance changes, it will be reflected in sort of how an authoritative voice or channel talks about it. I can confirm that I don't have a basement. I kind of wish I did. Basements are sort of middle class, He goes on here, that's where falling back to really rising up authoritative channels, videos from authoritative channels is important, and at the same time removing or reducing views of the videos where that same level of authority hasn't been established. Nice of him to mention shifting the goalposts so we can never really know when we're breaking the rules. The YouTube community guidelines are meant to be vague on purpose in order to intentionally set up double standards. We've seen this for a while now. We've seen it for so long that just about every video about the topic is filled with comments saying, ditch YouTube, leave YouTube, why is anyone still using this platform? It's unfortunate, but much like the case of PG&E or Comcast, Xfinity, whatever name they go by and what region you live in. Once there is an established monopoly, it is near impossible to compete with it. Just look at how much trouble Bitchute has run into trying to get streaming going, or look at how much trouble VidMe or StreamMe ran into. Or, not that I would defend them because I don't care for the service or the people that run it, but Gab. They have constantly had their funding removed from them, even after they bent the knee to people who demanded that they have certain posts removed. And remind you, removing posts on Gab convinced many of the people that were still promoting the website to be done with it entirely. Really, until technology catches up and makes it cost-effective, there is really no way of competing with YouTube. Let's take independently developed video games, for example. About 15 to 10 years ago, people started making their own video games. This was likely in response to the dramatic decrease in the quality of video games that were coming out at the time. Eventually, people created enough tools that it became possible to create your own products from home, often products that were far superior in quality to those made by studios with almost bottomless resources. Eventually, there will be a competitor to YouTube, but it might not be for another 5 or 10 years. By then, who knows what will happen? Until then, I can say this. Everything I say on this channel, or have ever said on this channel, has been backed up by either an academic source, a journalistic source, or at least some level of reasoning that would validate it on some level. These people at CNN, MSNBC, ABC, Fox, they don't have any extra access to information. These journalists, these authoritative sources, are browsing Twitter every day too. They're on Facebook all day as well. Sure, a few of these outlets might have some insiders in maybe the government or in other places, but that's not necessarily a good thing. Just consider how Facebook was working a week or 2 weeks ago, shutting down protests with the aid of the government. It was bad enough before the government was involved, but now that you have set as a precedent the government shutting down protests, it makes things much more complicated. To be honest, the interview was rather tedious to listen to. As I said before, I'll leave a link in the description if you want to watch it. Somebody in the comments section was nice enough to leave time codes, and it's only about half an hour long, but even still, I didn't really want to power through it. Now, seeing as this is the first time I have ever heard of Neal Mohan, I decided to check his credentials a little bit. So back in 1996, he worked for Accenture as a senior analyst, then moved over to DoubleClick Incorporated as the Director of Global Client Services, moving up to Vice President of Business Operations in March of 2001. In June 2004, he worked for 4 months at Microsoft as a Manager of Corporate Strategy. From there, in July of 2005, he moved back to DoubleClick Incorporated to work as the SVP of Strategy and Product Management. From here, he worked 2 years and 9 months, moved over to Google, worked as Senior Vice President of Display and Video Ads, but from here moved to the Board of Directors for 23andMe, where he is still serving to this day. He is concurrently employed at YouTube as the Chief Product Officer and has been working in this position since November 2015. So hey, not that bad of a resume. I don't hold Neal Mohan responsible for any of this heavy-handed moderation. I'm willing to bet it is well over his head. At the same time, I think it's important that we become familiar with the types of arguments that we're seeing for shutting all of us down. Don't cover the news, they say. We'll have somebody who is paid by our government to do it. But all of this begs the question: who fact-checks the fact-checkers? It should be simple enough for these authoritative sources to just show us their information. And it's okay if they give us their opinion, but to hold them as some sort of arbiter of truth is a bad road to go down. Also, keep in mind who they're appointing as these Ministry of Truth avatars. People like Brian Stelter, your Chris Cuomo's and your Don Lemons. Or worse, people who are more subtle about their hackery. Bill Gates, a man who finds it really funny, worth smiling about when thinking about how much damage the economy shutdown will do. Think I'm lying? Think I'm being hyperbolic? Do we have an authoritative source on the matter? Well, here's the clip. Will that suffice?
Said elsewhere, the economy is not going to be anything like it was. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how fitful this it was. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how...
Well, you can never be too sure. Maybe this is a deep fake. Maybe this is all a deep fake, like the Jordan Peterson bot. At a certain point, you run out of commentary for this sort of thing. You run out of little jokes you can make to soften the blow, so to speak, on how bad things really are. There isn't much left to say. I find it incredible, though. A lot of the people who were critical of these authoritative sources, they were so eager to bend the knee. Suddenly, now that it's, oh my god, if people go outside, even if they're by themselves, they're putting others in danger. They bought that hook, line, and sinker. And there's almost nothing you can do to try to talk sense into them. Right now, there are people on both sides, for example, arguing on Twitter about how we have to end the lockdown, and then the other people who are saying if we end the lockdown, everybody's going to die. Well, I don't think everyone's going to survive if we, shut down all of the food processing plants, because for some reason, meat processing isn't considered essential work, and because of this, the entire supply chain is disrupted. I saw an article the other day saying that because they don't have the resources to a bunch of chickens, tons and tons of chickens, they're going to have the chickens, but not use them for food. I wonder what all of the lefties think of this. The ones that talk about food waste, about how we shouldn't waste all this food, I wonder where they're sitting at now. What matters more, huh? The suffering of millions of living things and their sacrifices going to waste? Or, feeling a little safe knowing that everyone is walled up inside their apartment like rats. Yeah, I'm sure that makes the world a better place as the food's running out, the money's running dry, the water is low quality and it will probably be much lower quality in the near future. But everybody's spending all of their time pointing the finger as if any of us had anything to do with any of this. Everybody really just needs somebody to blame, and I can't really blame them for that. There is some comfort in pointing the finger. I don't know, maybe this is another nothing video, and I apologize if that's the case, but I came across this interview and thought to myself, I have an opinion on this. I don't have a basement. What the heck, man? I wish I had a basement. I would dwell the ever-living hell out of that basement. And with that, I think it's important for us to attempt to play the game that YouTube has put before us. So I believe for the first time ever on this channel, it's been like 3 years I think, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that. It does help out the channel a little bit in regards to the algorithm, but considering the subject matter of this video, I don't think it'll matter that much. I would also like to take a few seconds to thank my patrons who donate to the channel monthly over on Patreon. I have been recording rambling from my couch and uploading the audio to Patreon as a little extra benefit to those who choose to support us there. I know it's not much, I'm all ears if you have any other ideas, but it seemed like something that I could provide that was a little extra. I would also like to thank the super chatters who are very generous during live streams. Even in these difficult times, the support has come through, and I am extremely grateful for not only the monetary benefits, but also the vocal support from people that convince me to keep streaming and keep uploading. If you're unfamiliar, I guess I can plug my live stream. I tend to stream late, but I'm willing to shift the streaming schedule this week a little bit. The usual time is a little late for some people, but I'm usually wide awake late at night. I stream here on this channel at 12:30 a.m. Pacific time and upload the streams the following morning to the archive channel, which I usually premiere to give them a bit of a live stream effect. The stream is something of a variety show. The Midnight Show typically features satirical commercials in the beginning, about an hour of strange news stories, things I came across that were a bit humorous, followed by a game of some sort. We usually play Name My Band, where I show chat an image like this one right here.
I'm one of the most powerful men in the United States. And you ladies, are you aware of that? Just how powerful I am?
And I do have plans to enable polls to allow chat to vote on their favorite. That way we can have a clear winner. People in chat are also rewarded for chatting with points that you can use to play sound bites from what I call the People's Soundboard. This is a fun way for chat to troll me, keep the stream fresh, and also keep the stream engaging. If this is your sort of thing, we would love to have you there to spam even more clips of Richard Spencer, Greta Thunberg, or Bernie Sanders. So for those of you that are interested, I'll see you there, and for those who aren't, I'll see you later.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
How dare you!